Hey everybody, Virtual Rook here. I know I already made a tutorial where I go over how to make a physically moving button for VR in Unreal Engine, but I had a lot of questions from a lot of people on how to add actual functionality to the button. So today I figured we'd build the button again and we would add some functionality to it. So let's get started on that. Alright, for right now we're going to be using Unreal Engine 5.3.2 because although 5.4 is out, I can't get it to work with VR for some reason. So just go ahead and hit Launch Unreal Engine 5.3.2. We're going to go over to Games, Virtual Reality Template, and we're just going to I'm going to call this Button Tutorial 02 because we're making a new one. We're going to hit Create. Okay, so here we are inside of the VR template. It should look exactly like this for you. And step one's going to just be, we're going to open up our toolbar. It should start in Content. Just go over to the VR template folder, Blueprints, VR Pawn. We're going to double click on that, which is going to open up the blueprint for the VR Pawn right here for us. But we are interested in going to the viewport, finding the left hand, and adding a collider to it. So we're just going to type in collider. We're going to grab box collider, and then that looks too big to me, so I'm going to tell this that I want it to be like 0.2. For the sake of this, I'm not going to make this super accurate, but I do want to make sure that this is actually aligned with the hand. I can see the fingers down here, so I'm just going to go ahead and click up. We want the arrow to be facing the same direction as the cube is. So if it is not object aligned, you might be in this mode, which is world aligned. So just click right up here in order to go to object aligned. And we're just going to pull that bad boy down. I think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to set this one to 0.1. That way it aligns with the hand mesh a little bit better, and it just kind of looks nicer. We can then grab this. So just Control Copy on the box. And we're just going to go down to hand right. Control V to attach it. It missed for some reason, so we're just going to put it back up here so it's parented to the hand right. Now you can see that it's not lined up correctly, so we're just going to hit reset the properties on location and reset the properties on rotation, and then we just have to move it back down. So we're just going to grab it here and boom, it's lined up with the hand. It's in the same spot. That's awesome. Love that for us. Now everything should be done here, so we're just going to hit compile and save. And there you go. Our VR pawn is ready for action. For the sake of this tutorial, I don't need these, so I'm just going to delete the guns. Now next up, we're going to build our button. So let's open up our tool shelf again by hitting Control Space. I'm going to just go to Content. Usually you want to keep all of this organized. I'm going to build everything in Content, but you want to have like your own blueprints folder and things like that. It's up to you, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to build it here. So we're going to go Blueprint Class. We want to make it an actor, and we're going to call this BP Button. Very nice. We'll open that up. Now inside BP Button, there's a couple of things in Viewport that we want to do first before we get to the actual programming. For starters, we're going to grab a cube, and we're going to name this Button Base. Okay. We're going to lock the scale for a second. We're going to scale it down to like 0.2. That might even be too big. And then we're going to unlock it, and on the Z we're going to make it 0.1. Okay, there you go. That's a really nice base right there. You can even move it up, so that way, oh, here, wait. Go to 5. We'll move it up, so that way the origin point is at the bottom of the button. And now we're going to add another cube. I know, there's so many cubes in this. And we're going to call this one Button. On this one, we're going to leave as a cube so we can lock the scale and go to 0.1. Awesome. We'll move it up until it's just above the button base. And then we have one more thing to add in the viewport, which is going to be a box collider. Oh, it could just be called collider. I actually didn't even want to change the name of it. There we go, box. Awesome. And that's going to be parented to the button. And then this we want to be the same size as the button, so we're going to lock. So we'll scale it down to 1.5, so that way it lines up pretty good for the top of the button. We're just going to have it so its center of origin is sitting at the very top of the button. Now I'm a visual kind of person, so to make this stand out a little bit better, I am going to make this red. So let's open up our tool kit one more time. Let's go to material, and we're just going to call this MT for material, red button. Open that up real quick, and then again, I'm just going to hit 3 to bring in the tricolor. I don't remember what this is actually called, but that can go into base color then, and then we'll just slide this bad boy over to red. Maybe a bit more red, that's kind of more on the pink side. I mean, pink's great. I guess we could just do pink. Yeah, okay, perfect. Sweet. So this is our red button. We're going to hit save. Okay, and then we can close that. And now, under material, we can do MT, red button, bring that on, and look at that. Now we have a nice little red button ready to go. Okay, that's everything that we need to do inside of the viewport of the blueprint, but now we have to actually set up the functionality of the blueprint. So let's head over to the event graph. Okay, I'm pretty sure that we're not going to have to use any of this, but we can always bring it back if we have to. And then we're going to go over into our variables. We're going to hit plus, and we're going to add a new variable that is going to be called button start position. Button start position. Okay, hit enter, and that is going to be a vector. Boom. So this is going to log the starting position of our button at the beginning of the game. Aha, so see, we are going to need one of the things that I deleted at the beginning of this. We are going to need the event begin play. So we'll just go ahead, grab the event begin play. We'll just drag this out, and we will set the button start position. We'll drag this into here. And how are we going to get the button start position? Well, that's very easy. We're just going to grab our button, drag off from there, and we'll get relative location, which will be right here. And we're just going to plop that bad boy right in there. Now, I like to make little hats out of my nodes, so here we go. Awesome. And that one's done. Now, pro tip, we're going to select this. We're going to hit C to leave a comment. And the comment is going to be set button start location. Simple, easy, explains exactly what that area does. Then we can move a little bit down. Okay, so next up we have to actually move the button. First we have to move it down whenever somebody actually touches it. So we'll go to box, add event, add on component begin overlap. Sweet. So now whenever something's overlapping with our box, we'll be able to do something. Now, usually you don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it right now, again, just for the sake of a tutorial. We're going to drag this off, and we're going to cast to our VR pawn. There it is. And other actor is going to be the object for that cast. From there, we can drag off, and we can get move component to. Awesome. And what component are we trying to move? We're trying to move our button. So we're just going to grab our button again. We're going to attach that to our component. And then down here, we're going to get our button start position. Okay, we're just getting it. But we only want to affect its up and down, which is its Z-axis. So we can go ahead and just split the strut pins, grab its Z, minus, or subtract. And let's see. If we go back to our button, we can see how high up it is right now. It's at 15, so we probably want to go down to about, I'm going to say 5. So that means we want to minus 10 at its max distance. And then we just come over here to target relative location, and we split its struct pins as well, and we can plug this straight into the Z, because we only want to affect the Z. And awesome, there you go. That's literally all we have to do in order to make the button go down. But now the problem is the button never comes back up. It just stays down the rest of the time. So in order to get it to come back up, we're going to just repeat this basically. We're just going to select all. Oh, you know what? I almost screwed up. We're going to hit C on this to bring up a comment, and we're going to say exactly what this does, which is on overlap Actually, let's be even more specific than that. On player overlap, push button down. Okay. Awesome. And now we can just select this entire block here, Control Copy, so Control C, Control V in order to paste, line it up down here, and we're just going to say on player end overlap, button returns to start position. Cool. All right, but right now this is doing the exact same thing as the old one was doing. So let's go ahead and change this so that way it actually works the way that we want it to, which means we're going to delete this custom event, go back up to our box collider, add event, add an on component end overlap. Okay, and we'll just drag that back up into this. We're just going to reattach it here to the cast VR pawn. And now the nice part is that we just want it to go back to the value that we have for the button start position. So we can go ahead and delete this and just drag this straight into there. And then we can hit compile and save. And there you go. Just with these 3 simple things in blueprints, you can have the button move up and down whenever the player puts their hand over top of it. But now, let's see if we can make it that it makes a sound whenever we press it down. For that, we're just going to scroll down a little bit, giving us ample space. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm again going to just be using an event tick, which is going to be listening to when the button moves. So let's go ahead, grab an event tick. And if you have a way to do this that's a little bit less performance heavy, I would love to hear it. This is just the way that I found how to do this while building this tutorial. We're also going to grab a reference to our button. We're going to drag off from that and get its relative location. Okay, once we have that, we're going to go ahead and split this, because again, we only want to see if the Z transform is changing. So let's drag off on the Z, and we're going to do a less than or equal to. And we know that its max drop is 10, which means that at its lowest position, it's going to be 5. So we want to check to see if this is ever less than 6. We're then going to use our event tick over here to grab a branch. And we're going to make that the condition of the branch. If it's true, then we'll put that into a do once node. Love that. And once it's completed, we'll have it make a sound. But that means that we need a sound. So let's grab a sound real quick. You can use whatever you want. I just grabbed a sound effect really quickly from JSFXR. This isn't a promotion or anything, but I do like the website because it just generates random sounds for your games. And in order to bring that sound effect in, all we have to do is open up our shelf again, open up our folder that contains the audio that we just got. We're going to drag it straight into our content drawer. I've probably changed the name of that like a million times. Now, I don't think you have to do this, but whenever I bring in a sound effect, I like to right-click on it and create a cue. And we'll just call this SC for sound cue. Button click. Awesome. Now, back inside of our blueprint for the button, from our do once node, we're just going to drag off from that. We're going to play sound at location. Okay. The sound is going to be our click, so we're going to do SC. And as for the location, we're just going to grab a reference to our button, get world location, and we're going to plug that into the location. Right now, if we hit compile and save, we would get a sound, but we'd only get a sound once, and then it would never play again. So in order to get it to play a sound every time we click the button, we're just going to come right back down to here. We're going to drag off again from our relative location Z from the button. And we're going to get greater than or equal to. And we want to check to see if it's greater than or equal to 14 based off of the location inside the blueprint of our button. We know that the button's transform is 15 at max. And then from there, we'll just grab another branch, drag in the false of this branch. And then if this is true, we'll plug it into reset. So now the do once will reset whenever the button gets close to the top of its final location. The reason why we do it this way is because if we just grab the false branch of the less than or equal to and plug that straight into the reset, whenever we were right on the edge of the 6, even by like decimal points, we would hear the sound constantly going off. So we're making a little buffer zone so it doesn't reset until the button is back up at its max location. All right, we're going to just select these real quick and hit Shift W in order to align them on the vertical axis. And we're just going to select all of these, grab them, move them down a little bit. We could probably make this smaller, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Instead, we're just going to hit C in order to comment it out. What are we going to tell this comment to do? We are going to tell this comment to play a sound where the button's pressed. Play a sound when the button's pressed. Reset sound when the button returns to start position. Boom. Awesome. And if all you wanted to do was make the button make a sound, well, I've got great news for you. All you have to do is hit compile and save, go into your VR template, open up your content drawer, grab your button. I'm going to put it right there. Beautiful. Look at it. It's glorious. It's a perfect button. It looks great. Love it. Now we just have to put on our VR headset and test to see if it works. Always make sure you do save all before testing out VR. Trust me. All right, we're going to go to VR preview. Okay, so now we're inside of our thing. We're going to use our right analog stick to go to our button, and we're going to press down on it. Now, I might want to adjust this to make it so the button doesn't go all the way down, because you can see that we have some Z fighting, but besides that, you can hear the sound effect going off every time we press it down. Awesome. Alright, cool. So we got the VR button to make sound, but now what if we want it to do a little bit more? Like, what if we want it to open up a door? That's what we're going to do next. I'm going to show you how to make it open up a door. We're going to be using interfaces. Interfaces are a great way to have two objects talking to each other without causing any hard references. Hard references are really bad to do in Unreal Engine, so just trust me, you want to avoid hard references. Hard references would be like casting to an object, which we did already do once inside this blueprint, which isn't great, but we'll just try to keep as few hard references as we possibly can. So how do we actually make an interface, and how do we make a door, and how do we make the button use the interface to talk to the door? Well, it all starts with interfaces, so we're just going to go ahead and open up our content drawer again. So Control Space, we're going to right click, go to Blueprint, and inside of Blueprint we're going to find Blueprint Interface. We're going to call this BPI for Blueprint Interface _ door. Awesome. Open that up. Inside of that you should have a screen similar to this, which we're just going to go up to this new function and we're going to call it BPI _ open door. That'll make it really easy for us to find whenever we're using it in different blueprints. And that's all we have to do for this. So we're just going to hit compile and save, close that, and now let's build a door really quickly. So open up your content drawer again. We're going to make a blueprint class, actor, and we're going to call this blueprint door. Open that up. And then inside of here, we're just going to go add cube. We're going to unlock the scale. And then on the y-axis, we're going to break this down to like 0.1 probably. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit of a thick door, but that's fine. And then we're going to move this over until the edge of it is right on the center of the grid, which if you're following along exactly with me, that will be about 50 on the X. Then we're just going to go to add, grab an arrow. Perfect. We're going to detach it from the cube because we don't want it to be attached to the cube. In fact, we want the cube to be attached to the arrow. Awesome. That's everything we have to set up in the viewport for this blueprint, but I do want to have one extra step. And this is critical for what we're trying to do. We're going to go to class settings, interfaces right here, implement interface, and then we're going to find our BPI door. Now you can type it in, but I see it's right here, so I'm just going to grab it. And now you can see over here on the left side in interfaces, we have BPI open door as one of our interfaces. We're going to hit compile and save before we do anything else in this. Again, that'll be really important in just a moment because we're going to go to our event graph. Inside of our event graph, we're going to delete all of these. Now, whenever we look for different actions that we can do in this blueprint, we're going to see that we have a new event. That event is called open door, BPI open door specifically. And it's going to have this weird little symbol here that just means that it's working with an interface. So we'll drag off from there. We only want the door to open once, so we're just going to do once. And then much like how we move the button up and down, we're going to drag off on completed and we're going to get a move component too. Cool. Now, we want to split this, so that way we have control over the z-axis. And then we need to drag out our arrow. Now the arrow is going to have two functions in this situation. One, it's going to be our component. It's going to be the thing that's rotating. But two, is we're actually going to use this to figure out how much we should rotate. So we're going to get the relative rotation. We're going to split that. And then using the relative rotation on the Z, I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to have it swing outward, so I'm going to do add. I'm just going to do 90, so that way it opens to its full, rotation, whatever. And then that can just go straight into the Z. Now let's clean that up real quick. So I'm going to make little hats. And we can compile and save, because that's done. It's what we've done here. Right now it's listening. If another interface does the BPI open door, it's going to trigger this event if it's called to it. And then one time, it'll rotate the door to open it. So again, compile and save, and we're just going to close out the BP door. Let's drag our BP door in, so we can open up our content drawer again, drag in the BP door, and let's just get into position, so up. And of course, you can just move and rotate this. I'm under the assumption that if you're doing this tutorial, you know how to do this stuff already, so hopefully you do. That's probably fine. Yeah, that's a beautiful door. Great door. 100% door. So now that we have that functioning, or at least it's ready to function, we're just going to go back to our button, go to Edit BP button, and now we have to make it so that our BP button actually communicates with the interface as well. So same as last time, we're going to go up to Class Settings, Interfaces, Add, and we're going to find our BPI door, which is right here. We are again going to compile and save. We do that to make sure that all the functionality of the interfaces are going to show up as things that we can use inside the blueprint. So always make sure that you save and compile. It's just good practice. But to get this to work, we are going to need one more variable. So we're going to go down to variables, we're going to hit plus, and we're going to name this variable door. Okay. What kind of variable is it going to be? It's going to be an actor, because our door is an actor. We're going to make that an object reference, and then we can drag out door. We're going to get door, and then from door, we are going to check to see if it has our interface. So we're going to do BPI, open door message. You're going to see that it has a little letter icon at the top of it. That means you've selected the right thing. This is important because there's a lot of different things that the interface brings into our blueprints that will not have this little message above them. So they're wrong if they're not the little email symbol. For instance, if I drag off a place sound at location and try to look up BPI, you'll see something called call function. That's not what we want. We have another one that's BPI door class, BPI open door. That's also not what we want. Casting. We never want to cast. We're literally doing this to avoid casting. So we're going to get the door reference, and then we're going to send it the BPI open door message. And if it has the same interface that can use this message, then it'll fire off this message. So let's go ahead and connect play sound at location right to our BPI open door. Let's also make sure that down here in door on the variables, this eye icon is open. This makes it a public variable, which means we can edit it in the main window. So now that that's awake, we can go ahead and compile and save, close BP button, and now whenever we click on BP button, we should see default door with none at the moment, but that's okay because we're just going to go ahead, click the eyedropper, and then click our door. Now it says BP door. And that should be all that you need to do. The nice part about this is that it doesn't have to be a door. You can make a light that whenever it receives a message, it'll turn on and off. Or, I don't know, there's an infinite amount of things that you can make this do, but this is one of the easiest things to make it do. So now I think it's time for us to put on our headset and see if it works. Remember, before you put on the headset and go into preview, always go to File, Save All. Because boy does Unreal Engine love to crash whenever you try to preview in VR. Alright, let's go. Alright, so here we are inside of our VR template. I'm going to move back just a little bit so I can... Now, if I've done all of this correctly, whenever we press this button, we'll hear a sound and that door will open. So, there you go. And now if we want, we can go inside. Granted, we probably could have gone inside anyways because teleport's broken like that, but don't worry about it. That's a tutorial for another day. And there you have it, everybody. Leave me a comment if you have any suggestions on how we could improve this even further. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with, like, getting this perfect, but this being perfect is important to me. So if you do figure out better ways to do this, I'd love to hear it. And if you made it this far into the tutorial, leave a comment down below. Heck, join the Discord. You can join the Discord by clicking the link down below and post, videos or images of what you build with this, because I would love to see it. And yeah, make sure you subscribe because it really helps out the channel. I'm trying really hard to hit 1,000, so that would be really cool. But yeah, I'm going to keep on making videos like this and just going over all the things that are VR. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later.